The Xiaomi Pad 7 was just released internationally today, and we've had it in for review for about a month already. At $399, this tablet costs the same as the base iPad, looks like the base iPad, and feels like one too. So why shouldn't you just go and buy an iPad instead? Well, we've had this tablet for about a month, and here are our test results. Xiaomi is a company known for offering flagship quality devices at a budget-friendly price. The Xiaomi Pad 7 doesn't deviate from that rule at all. In fact, we wouldn't blame you for mistaking this for a high-end Android tablet from the design and feel. From the front, the Pad 7 is simple. An 11.2-inch display is surrounded by thin bezels, which give it a clean and modern look. The Pad 7 also sports a 3:2 aspect ratio, which is great for gaming and multitasking, but not so ideal for viewing videos. The front features a single webcam that supports face unlock. There's no built-in fingerprint reader. On the sides of the tablet, the quad speaker setup stands out. There's a power button on the left side and a volume rocker on the top left. The USB-C 3.2 port for charging and file transfer sits alone on the right side of the tablet. This port can also act as an HDMI output for an external monitor. Something that you might already notice is the minimalistic approach to exterior design on this tablet, which features neither an SD card slot nor a dedicated 3.5mm audio port. The Pad 7 weighs 500 grams and is 6.2mm thick, which puts it in the same playing field as the default iPad 10. We really like the metal finish on the entire back and sides of the Pad 7. You can get this tablet in grey or a muted purple-green color. We have the graphite grey model and find it very aesthetic. The camera module juts out of the otherwise flat back and sports a similar design to the Xiaomi 15, which we are also reviewing, by the way. We think that this feature really catches the eye and makes the Pad 7 stand out among other tablets. The massive camera bump does unfortunately make it impossible for the tablet to lie flat on any surface without a cover. Aside from the camera bump, there's a simple Xiaomi logo and 3 little metal circles that are used to magnetically connect to the keyboard cover. A pen can be attached to the top side of the tablet on the right of the volume rocker, where it is charged wirelessly. The build quality of the entire tablet is excellent. Xiaomi packs the Pad 7 with an amazing display. At 11.2 inches, this display packs a whole 3.2K pixels, 600 nits of peak brightness in SDR, 800 nits in HDR, and variable refresh rates up to 144 Hz. This display really goes the whole 9 yards for an IPS LCD. Pixel density is at an impressive 344 ppi. HDR10 and Dolby Vision are supported, and the thin bezels mean a screen-to-body ratio of 86%. This is a great display in its price range. To put it into context, the Lenovo IdeaTab Pro that we recently reviewed and gave a great score to only gets 2/3 as bright as the Pad 7. The Apple iPad 10 is also dimmer at 500 nits, and the more expensive OnePlus Pad 2 has a very similar display. Xiaomi smacks some seriously great speakers into the Pad 7. In our testing, it beats the more expensive Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 FE Plus and the default iPad 10 in both audio quality and volume. The sound quality edges out the higher-end OnePlus Pad 2, however, the OnePlus gets a fair bit louder. Shando has been testing the Pad 7 extensively in benchmarks and played Fortnite and other games. What can you tell us about the hardware and performance?
Well, many of you are probably at a loss about how every mobile chipset performs relative to other ones, which is understandable. It feels like every other week there's some new benchmark-topping Qualcomm or MediaTek mobile processor, so it might come as a bit of a surprise to many that the Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 3 found on the Xiaomi Pad 7 performs considerably close to the popular Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, despite being lower end based on Qualcomm's naming scheme. Besides the chipset, the Xiaomi Pad 7 comes with 8GB of RAM for the 128GB storage base model and 12GB of RAM on the 256GB model. Realistically, 8GB will get the job done even in demanding apps and games. We threw the Pad 7 into Geekbench for a vague idea of where our tablet really stands in the performance ranking, and perform it does. In Geekbench single-core testing, our Pad 7 sits behind the iPad 10 by around 12%. It does perform within the margin of error of the Snapdragon 8S Gen 3 based on our Magic Pad 2, which costs $100 more. The gap between the Pad 7 and the iPad disappears in Geekbench CPU multi-core. But anyways, mobile games are more often limited by the GPU instead of the CPU anyways. So, How does the Pad 7 do there? In Geekbench GPU tests, the Xiaomi Pad 7 is beaten by the iPad 10 by around 20%. Fortunately, the Pad 7 does perform better against its Android competition. The similarly priced Lenovo IdeaTab Pro falls behind the Pad 7 by 12% in GPU score. These are very respectable scores that bode well for the gaming performance on this tablet. And when it comes to gaming, light gaming is no problem for the Xiaomi Pad 7. In Genshin Impact, we're able to max out all the settings and set the frame rate to 60 FPS with zero issue. The tablet does tend to get very warm in this title. In Fortnite, we're able to achieve an impressive 60 FPS with the Epic preset, which is also the FPS limit. The OnePlus Pad 2 with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is able to hit 60 to 90 FPS with the Epic preset settings, for reference. Another demanding title is Call of Duty Warzone, which runs well enough with 60 FPS at smooth settings, but turning up the graphics quality causes frame rate drops and stutters with averages around 20 FPS. We also tested less demanding titles like Minecraft and Roblox. These games run buttery smooth at a stable 60 FPS and the tablet stays cool and barely loses battery during long gaming sessions. So overall, gaming performance on the Xiaomi Pad 7 is pretty good. Maybe because of its Snapdragon chipset, we're able to run many games at higher graphics presets compared to the Lenovo IdeaTab Pro that we tested recently.
The battery life on the Xiaomi Pad 7 is just about average. At 7.25 hours, it lands in the same area as most other tablets with an LCD IPS panel and still beats the iPad 10's battery life. The battery has a capacity of 8,850 mAh and charges at 45 watts, which again is pretty average. The Honor Magic Pad 2, which costs around $100 more, gets a whole 80% longer battery life due to its OLED panel, making it an obvious choice for someone looking for a media tablet compared to the Xiaomi. However, availability of this Magic Pad is limited in many regions. You can't find it in the US, for example. The Xiaomi Pad 7 ships with the Android 15 based HyperOS 2. This makes it one of the few globally available tablets with this new Android version. Xiaomi's HyperOS has a smooth, almost iOS look to it. We don't really mind this, but it's clear that Xiaomi took inspiration from more than just the appearance of the OS from Apple. The inbuilt desktop mode in HyperOS provides you with a taskbar and control over Windows or Mac style tabs for each app. Unfortunately, Xiaomi's desktop mode takes after Apple's Stage Manager. Concretely, this means that it's not possible to split the screen into two apps seamlessly. Either the apps don't fill the available space properly and clip into each other awkwardly, or you only open a single application in full screen. It's not even possible to resize many apps. Compared to a more mature desktop mode like Samsung DeX or the one on Lenovo tablets, this is missing many key features. Ironically, split screen works perfectly in the standard mode. We recommend sticking with the normal tablet mode instead. Where Xiaomi does deserve some credit is how clean of an Android install we got with HyperOS 2. There's not a trace of bloatware on the Pad 7 after setup, save for a couple of baked-in Xiaomi apps. A breath of fresh air compared to other Chinese tablets. Xiaomi usually offers 2 Android version updates and 3 years of Google security patches for their flagship tablets, like the Xiaomi Pad 6 released in 2023, although there's no official information on the support period at this time of recording. Compared with Samsung's 5 years of support for their tablets and Apple's usual 5 to 6 year support period, Xiaomi falls a bit behind in that area. At least the tablet ships with Android 15, so we will hopefully receive an Android 17 update somewhere down the line. Xiaomi's Pad 7 and 7 Pro both support the Xiaomi Focus Pen, which will cost you another $99 from the Xiaomi official store. We actually already reviewed this pen in our Xiaomi Pad 6s Pro and 7 Pro videos. But to sum it up, it's a pen with 8192 sensitivity levels, sleek design, and makes for a great writing and drawing experience, comparable to the Samsung S Pen and the Apple Pencil Pro. The Focus Pen charges magnetically on the top right side of the tablet and is connected using Bluetooth. Xiaomi claims that there's only 3 milliseconds of input delay. This means that the pen is very responsive in general. We find that some applications have a tad bit more input lag, for example the drawing program Sketchbook, although the lag is not that noticeable and the overall experience is pretty good. One small complaint we have is that compared to the Samsung S Pen, which you receive for free when buying an S-series tablet by the way, the Xiaomi Focus Pen feels a bit clacky and loud when writing. We felt the same way about the Lenovo Pen Plus from our IdeaTab Pro review. Xiaomi has 2 official keyboard covers available for the Pad 7. One has a trackpad and one doesn't. In our testing, both keyboards get the job done and offer a decent typing experience. We do have a couple of complaints about the Xiaomi floating keyboard, which features a trackpad and another design that screams Apple. Like the Apple Magic Keyboard, the joint which the tablet floats on barely bends beyond 45 degrees. Unlike Apple's Magic Keyboard, the typing experience still feels relatively cheap, despite the keyboard costing over $130. It's also uncomfortably small and loud while typing. The cheaper, non-trackpad version of the keyboard somehow feels better while being a lot quieter. It has the additional benefit of not weighing half a kilo by itself, something that kind of defeats the point of carrying around a tablet instead of a hefty laptop for work. The trackpad is alright. While we don't usually expect much from tablet cameras, the large camera bump on the Xiaomi Pad 7 gives the impression that it's more serious about this photography than other tablets. The reality is somewhat disappointing. Xiaomi went with a single 13 megapixel main camera lens on the back, begging the question whether that huge camera bump with 3 camera rings is really necessary here. Photos have good colors and dynamic range, but are otherwise pretty average. 4K video at 30 FPS is supported and videos don't look all too terrible. The automatic image stabilization could use some work though. The 8 megapixel selfie camera on the front side tells a different story. Selfies look clean and natural, and the portrait mode can make some actually decent photos with the right lighting. We wouldn't expect much more from tablet cameras. Xiaomi has done a great job with the Pad 7. This tablet performs well, has a good display, decent battery life, and most importantly comes at a fair price of around $400. This represents a good upgrade from the Xiaomi Pad 6 released 2 years ago. What impresses us the most is the lack of any huge flaws in our extended testing. We feel like anyone from a tech-savvy gamer to an elderly grandmother could pick up this tablet and use it with no issues. That being said, the performance is not the best of the best, and if you want that, you should go for a flagship tablet. And the accessories, while good, are very expensive. The pen alone will bring up the cost of the bundle to $500, where we find very strong competitors from OnePlus and Honor already. But if you're the type of person to do everything from drawing, watching media and gaming on your tablet, the Xiaomi Pad 7 is just the thing for you. Especially, we expect prices to fall a bit quickly. By the way, we reviewed the Xiaomi Pad 7 Pro a couple of months ago already, back when it was released in China. We think that for most, it won't be worth getting. The standard Pad 7 is the much better deal.